matchup. And here's the picks and bans. We see Molten Falls, Awoken, Runes, Blood Covenant, and Blood Run as the decider. Thoughts on our champion picks?
I mean, looking at the start, we've got Anarchy going up against vengeurr on Molten, pretty fast, a lot of mobility on both of these players. cha1n, of course, horizontal mobility, whereas vengeurr has got that verticality to it. Awoken, again, very standard Doomslayer, the double jump, so powerful around that center area of the map, whereas vengeurr playing as the Galena, no doubt going to try and hide some totems to get himself stacked up. Now in Ruins, we've got Visor versus Sword, like medium versus heavy for the first time today. Blood Covenant will be Nyx versus Slash, very fast-paced, and on Blood Run, if it gets to the decider, we're gonna see cha1n versus BJ. Pretty standard pickups, nothing that immediately surprises me right there.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that. I think even with the maps in particular, Corruptor keep being banned by cha1n. So I think he realised that vengeurr is extremely strong, maybe even stronger than Razy in terms of how it actually be able to keep up with the competition, because that map is very fast-paced. vengeurr normally revolves around the smaller map picks. He abuses the map geometry so much, especially on if it's on Veil, Awoken, anything like that at all. So I would say the map picks do go more in favour of cha1n here, but vengeurr looked so good yesterday, it's so hard to call.
All right, well, you got off easy because I was about to ask for predictions, but we're ready to hop into this game. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's ZSX and 40 Lions with vengeurr versus cha1n.
So this is Battle of the New Blood in a lot of respects, and it feels like both of these players' storylines have really been building to this moment as they've seen a constant upward progression. So it's both nice and sad we get to see them meeting in this stage 40.
Absolutely, this is going to be a treat as we're going live. cha1n versus vengeurr right now. cha1n wants the world to put a little more respect on his name. vengeurr trying to break out of that 4th place that he can't seem to overcome. Ooh, big fight over the Mega. The inject comes out and right off the bat, vengeurr with the rocket frag. That's a huge start for the Italian.
It is, and cha1n actually being somewhat greedy off of that spawn over by the lightning gun, going for the Mega instead of the heavy, and it definitely came back to bite him in the behind as vengeurr takes an early lead, and that's never what you want to be giving away. But got to test the water. We often see hesitation coming out in the early stages of these encounters, and it is a best of 5, so if he's going to take some risks earlier in the series, is somewhat better than later in the series.
Yeah, best to get the crazy out of the way as the rail barely missing out for vengeurr here, but still a huge stack to work with. Looking to open this up even more here. But I think you're right, off the spawn, yeah, a little bit greedy from cha1n there. He needs to be careful not to overextend. If he does want to try that a couple more times, better to get it out early, maybe catch vengeurr off guard, but it looked like vengeurr was just so ready for that.
This is one of the more interesting matchups. I don't think we've ever seen these two play, but for me, they have a huge amount of similarities in their qualities in the way they play. Strategically, they do like to play slightly slower and not as pressurized over the major items, and have exceptional mechanical skills, largely based around rockets and rail. So, much like the Kills from vengeurr series, I expect it to be fireworks in vengeurr. Nice little flick rail there, coming out with the 2nd frag of the game, and that will definitely settle any nerves if he has any. He's a very confident young chap, Kid Bellissimo.
He fears nothing here as 2-0 up for the Italian. Look at this Dyror play.
Oh, I think he was a bit delayed on the Dyror. Even that was just baiting as cha1n is going in. The Mega's up, but he's going to take a lot of damage if he wants to take it. vengeurr just missing the rail, but hitting the follow-up. And cha1n is sticking around a little bit too much for my liking. He did pick up the Mega just before he jumped up the pad, so it's not too bad. But we see, at least in the opening stages, cha1n is coming off substantially worse as vengeurr hits another rocket to the face. But he's out of position for the heavy, so momentum in cha1n's corner for now.
Really good damage from cha1n, but that defensive rocket fantastic from vengeurr. Now the rail, 7 HP. The Italian is reeling. Can cha1n find this frag? Doesn't look like he'll be able to. 225's available for vengeurr to try and stack back up, but still needs to play extremely slow as he's still very weak. And another great defensive rocket there from vengeurr. Avoiding confrontation, doing a great job of staying alive, keeping his lead. Ooh, another great rail from cha1n there. That's a fantastic angle. That's going to force vengeurr away from the Mega. cha1n's going to have both items, and after the chase, the LG tickle. cha1n puts himself on the board, and now he has full control of the map as well. It's a good rail off the spawn for vengeurr, trying to chip away as best he can and as fast as he can to make sure that cha1n needs to be very cautious fighting for the heavy.
Yeah, cha1n's got plenty of time to set up on the high ground for this heavy. vengeurr's in position. Nice little rail coming out there, but he's not going to be able to commit for this as cha1n has done enough to secure it, and vengeurr needs to Scarpa. His orb's on cooldown, and cha1n knows this is another window of opportunity to abuse the fact that there isn't that lack of mobility from vengeurr coming out. He's caught on the jump pad. He will be going up it, but cha1n has to pop an early injection. Not the best idea, but he's going up aggressively. vengeurr's hit a barrel back to back and gets the frag. Slightly aggressive.
Such aggression from cha1n. He smelled blood in the water, but vengeurr stands his ground, gets the frag. He needs to be careful. That rocket into rail combo. Wow, that was gorgeous.
And vengeurr's going to go and push in again after hitting that rail, seizing opportunity. That dire orb aggression has been phenomenal so far, and I think cha1n needs to recalculate how he's committing to these fights. He's under-respecting to some degree the damage output vengeurr has on the back foot, and I felt he'd missed the opportunity over by the Mega, but decided to commit anyway, and it was to his peril. vengeurr isn't going to be over-committing here, as he knows cha1n has got the speed on the back foot and no orb to follow up.
It was a good rail for cha1n, making sure vengeurr thinks twice, but 4 frag lead for the Italian now as he was heating up for a second there, looking to try and extend the lead. As always, good rail from cha1n, good positioning on that as he drops a little bit early to the Mega, but vengeurr's going to say, you can have that for now, I'll allow it.
Absolutely, and this is something vengeurr has started to move towards. He's forfeiting the items to maintain a better position. He knows that cha1n has the speed and has been putting on the pressure, so a slight adjustment from vengeurr in not committing as hard to the items he was earlier in the game, and you can see once again, he knows cha1n's there, he's just going to back off and try and get a stronger defensive position. So good reads from vengeurr so far, and cha1n is somewhat played into that trap. He's going to meet in the corridor here. That's not a position you want to be as Anarchy, and vengeurr already backing off the orb just to bait him out. Just wants to do damage by the Mega once again. He does so much. cha1n is healthy. He's popped the inject. He will get away, but I think he's railable here. vengeurr wants to push in and finish him off. Now which he does!
Oh, beautiful, man. He's living up to the name. Kid Bellissimo with the perfect chase. So much LG. cha1n needs to be careful. There's a little bit of rocket splash, but that's going to make vengeurr back off. And more rocket splash. And look at the mobility. Really using vengeurr's passive to traverse the map at will. He's going to be able to drop down on this Mega.
It really feels like vengeurr has cha1n's number at the minute. You can see every single time the item's up, vengeurr is just double, triple checking that it's a safe environment to be in, and if it's not, he will take a position to capitalize upon the weaker stack of cha1n and the overcommittal of cha1n. So for me, cha1n's adjustment now needs to be to secure the items in advance, not just kind of cycle them. Be more proactive in between its downtime.
Patient play there from vengeurr, waiting on the 50 shard. Just waiting, doesn't want to give cha1n any opportunity to open this back up here, as we're less than 4 minutes away from the close of map number 1. vengeurr looking very, very strong.
Absolutely. 5 frags is quite a buffer on this map as well, and cha1n at the minute is struggling to get on the board. He's got the stack, but vengeurr has the position at all times. He's worked his way onto this heavy. cha1n will rain down rockets, but you can see once again it's not safe. vengeurr will back off and just deal an abundance of unreturned damage. cha1n does hit a follow-up rail, but the orb is there, so he's going to abuse the verticality. He's going to set up for this Mega because he knows cha1n isn't there just yet. Here's him and backs off immediately. This is the definition of playing safe and conservative.
vengeurr with really, really good defense here. Serving up all that damage family style here. The LG at the jump pad is going to reject cha1n. He's getting the items now, but cha1n needs to find the frags. Less than 3 minutes. Pressure mounting here as, again, vengeurr playing very slow, very patient, full defense here. The important part is, again, the damage is high and he's still grabbing these small items, so his stack is relatively decent as well. cha1n not being able to chip, not being able to move in. Needs to find a way to try and break this Italian's defense.
At the minute, yeah, he hasn't found the answer because vengeurr has just been working a few steps ahead of cha1n. cha1n's aim not being as crisp as we've seen in previous encounters. He's gone up the jump pad, vengeurr hears that, will be backing off. The orb does some damage. That is an opening though, because this time he hasn't got an orb and cha1n hit the rail, so he needs to be chasing vengeurr here. There's only 2 minutes left and there is a lot to do to make up this frag difference.
Here's the TP, and again, just vengeurr's playing this beautifully. 2 minutes left. cha1n has to push, and vengeurr can just play the plus back game as long as he keeps hitting good defensive damage. cha1n is going to run the items, but again, needs to find the frags. Just missing out on that rail. vengeurr gives away his position, but the chase has to commence for cha1n, and there it is. There's the dire orb again. A little bit more defensive damage as the rockets are so strong.
And that pretty much shuts down the game. That one rocket right there. cha1n needs to fall back, he needs to restack. He hasn't got the inject. vengeurr will be able to sweep up both of these items, unless there is some miracle rockets coming out from cha1n. And vengeurr doesn't even want to let that happen. He messes up the rocket jump, but it actually works out all right as cha1n is enforced into this encounter he doesn't want to take, but has to take. The rails are good though, but cha1n not in a position to push. He needs to though. So this will be a do or die push for cha1n as he's running out of time.
He's got to gamble it all. He doesn't have a choice. He's going to back off. Time is going to tick away.
And 40, I think we're out of time. 5 frags, 20, 40 seconds now.
My sweet summer child, there's always. 5 frags is going to be the difference for this one. It looks like, again, vengeurr just willing to go on lockdown here, play super defensive, and well done. And he played it exactly how he needed to. You see, again, that rocket into dire orb combo used for damage, misdirection if cha1n overextends. It's just a really, really solid defense from vengeurr.
Actually been a really key feature of his play, as you say, and it's something I've enjoyed. Haven't seen it an awful lot, the fact that vengeurr was using it, as you say, as an additional damage boost, but be a distraction. So if cha1n does go flying in, vengeurr's got that backout clause. So every single time he did it, it just made cha1n reset his aggression, and vengeurr has played this masterfully. I felt that cha1n was obviously on the ascendancy, but he couldn't work out how to create an in against vengeurr, which doesn't bode well moving into map 2, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, that was a rough start for cha1n for sure. Hopefully he could bounce back, but my God, you're handsome. It's so good to see your face.
I mean, you look a bit like Big Dad James Bond. I'm loving the coat. You're showing me up on that respect, so I don't appreciate it.
I borrowed it from you. The only reason I have this is because you would have ripped right through it with your gigantic muscles. But regardless, we need to stop flirting. vengeurr taking map number 1 convincingly. I think he's going to ride that confidence into map number 2. I do worry a little bit about cha1n, but again, Awoken is going to be a different story. cha1n on the Doom, vengeurr with the Galena. I don't know. You gotta pray for the Canadian at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be a much more standard map in terms of the stacks, and on Awoken as well. They're both extremely competent on that map. I did enjoy the proactiveness that cha1n was trying to employ, but you could see the definitive shift in stance from vengeurr, and he was just kiting, baiting and goading cha1n into those engagements over by the items, and cha1n was essentially falling into the trap, but with a slightly heavier stack to fall back on with immediate champion now. vengeurr with a slightly less maneuverability and mobility. It does even the playing field just a little bit, and the items aren't as exposed as they are on Molson as well.
Yeah, the plus back rockets just around the corner, just always waiting for cha1n around every strafe jump around the corner, just right in the face, 100, just keeping vengeurr, you know, alive and keeping cha1n off his back, and it was just really well done. We'll see if we're going to see more of that on Awoken. On this map specifically, vengeurr, he's just found such crazy rail angles before, so it might be even more aggression from vengeurr here. We might not have to see him play as defensive, but we'll see how it goes, and we'll see the start. I'd like to see maybe a more reserved start from cha1n, depending on the spawns and how everything goes, of course, but you kind of saw he got off to a bad start trying to go full aggression, and the defense right off the start on the last map was so solid.
No, 100%. I was about to say that one of the changes cha1n could make, and it was his hand was somewhat forced by, as you said, that bad start and follow-up frags, is just to play slightly more reserved, to tease out vengeurr, to see what vengeurr is doing, rather than continually trying to force the issue, because if he's doing that, he's going to be running into vengeurr's traps all along the way. So I would like to see a bit more strategy from that perspective coming out from cha1n, set up some traps of his own. If he can do that, then obviously he keeps the game closer, and it can go either way. So we'll see how it plays out, and as you say, the start is always going to be crucial in this respect, and we are moving over to the North American server, so that will slightly benefit cha1n.
We'll see as we're live on Awoken, cha1n versus vengeurr map number 2, and right off the bat again, cha1n gets caught out with the LG, and it is so strong, absolutely electrifying. And vengeurr, wow.
Literally a carbon copy of what we just saw.
Definitely not what you want as cha1n.
Except
Where are we?
time
Deja vu.
Except it was vengeurr this time with the aggression. cha1n was just playing his spawn. So we know how strong vengeurr is on this map, particularly with the Doom.
Chunky rocket there.
cha1n with the rail advantage for the moment. Doom has a very easy time of getting that weapon though, but I would like to see cha1n defend it. He is looking out for it and has to pop the berserk just to get away as he's afraid of vengeurr's lightning gun coming out, and vengeurr retreats to the bad area but doesn't need the light armor, so will go and try and reset and hopefully sneak his way around to this rail. Creative use of the totem as well, haven't seen that one.
I like that spot a lot. Yeah, Doom's mobility is going to be huge on this one. Could be the saving grace for cha1n. vengeurr on the hunt, needs a little bit of rocket damage. Hyper Blaster not too bad through the drive-through window there. cha1n needs to be really careful here as he's taking mid-control, and vengeurr trying to work his way towards this mega, peeking very cautiously around the corner with that rail out.
I don't feel that cha1n needed to forfeit that item as he eats a rocket around the corner. Easy frag for vengeurr. Not entirely sure why he just gave up both major items for free and unchallenging. And vengeurr instantly makes it pay as cha1n is on the run once again. Has the berserk up now if he needs to use it. vengeurr has a good split on major items now.
Good rail there from cha1n. And you gotta think that he was close enough to hear the mega get picked up, but he still peaked a little bit late.
Yeah, that was unusual.
Could have just tried to hide the 2-0 for vengeurr. cha1n trying to stop the bleeding here, doesn't want to get too out of control. It's a good jump over right there, almost getting some damage, but vengeurr's stack still looking so fresh and so clean. cha1n going through the telly, needs to be careful. Eats a rocket and a rail, extremely weak. vengeurr looking for the angle, and he will find it through the telly. What a shot.
What a shot indeed, and vengeurr has just been crisp all series long so far. I think it does feel that cha1n has adjusted by what we said he might be doing, playing a bit more defensive, but at the same time, he's gone completely the other way of not putting any pressure on the item. So up until now, vengeurr's had a completely free ride. That is some great defensive damage as vengeurr walks away with his tail between his legs and licks his wounds. cha1n should be able to sweep in onto this heavy and put some pressure on as he is healthy himself. And there he comes, flying in with the Doom double jump. Will be dropping down as well. vengeurr's in a good position though. And actually gets away without taking any damage whatsoever. Now cha1n, he needs to be careful.
Two missed rails there, a little bit rare to see on vengeurr's end, but still 3-0 as cha1n getting in on the items now, which is huge for him. vengeurr playing slow in the mid-ground, just waiting for some sort of sound cue. Doesn't even want to grab the army yet, doesn't want to give away his position quite yet here. Tri-bolt and rockets coming out from both players as the battle for the heavy is unfolding here. Good rail from vengeurr. cha1n needs to be careful.
cha1n definitely needs to be careful. He's not got a lot of stat to work with. If he falls onto this heavy, he might be dead, particularly now after that rail, and vengeurr gets in and will get out with both major items. cha1n, that was not the play.
Tried to force the issue and maybe get a little cheeky and steal one away, but vengeurr, way too smart, way too quick, adds another frag. 4-0 now.
Yeah, and it feels that cha1n doesn't know what the response is at this point in time. vengeurr's beating cha1n his own game and playing a bit more defensive, and this range game is not working out in cha1n's favor. So what will be the strategy and what will be the response? Because he needs to make something happen, and that's a great start. Getting in early, wow. He'd established the traditional route that vengeurr was playing, the rocket jump up to hop across, and he set up early and blocked it. So that was the response he needed. Yes, it was an exchange, but at least now he's buoyed himself with a bit more confidence that he can make those plays work.
Okay, almost a bit unfortunate there for cha1n. If he would have just survived a little bit off of that, even if he was low, he could have tried to stack back up, but good trade from vengeurr, making it count as we're getting closer to the halfway point. But any kind of opening at this point for cha1n is going to be good, as you mentioned, as he's going to get back in on the heavy, starting to try and get item control again. Needs to be careful as vengeurr waiting above on the rail to rain down some damage, but cha1n's going to get out. Now with this stack, he should be able to work towards something here. Needs to get some damage going. First needs to figure out where vengeurr is on the map.
And there is a bit of split on the major items. cha1n set up early for the Mega, which I like. vengeurr caught out by that rail. The big delay from cha1n actually causing problems as vengeurr didn't hear it get picked up clearly. He will be going down here and misses the rail as well, so that's painful. cha1n doubles back. He knows his opponent will spawn on the Mega side of the map, so he wants to shut down all major items. I like this choice. vengeurr wants to commit, which he does. He will be paying for it as he doesn't have any means of getting out of this area. He wants to be doing some damage from below. It's hard with the lightning gun. That missed rail, though, is crucial as vengeurr gets out with the majority of the stack that he really didn't deserve to be picking up.
Yeah, that miss is a bit heartbreaking for cha1n there. Perfect position to try and capitalize on that. vengeurr gets away. Defensive Hyper Blaster as he moonwalks towards the LG room here.
Oh, that tri-bolt.
Wow. Oh no. Tri-bolt into LG for vengeurr, perfectly placed. It's going to net him another frag, and that's very unfortunate for cha1n.
It really is. He wanted to shut down the angle. We knew that vengeurr wanted to put pressure on, so cha1n being proactive, but at every single turn, vengeurr's making these aggressions count. And at the moment, vengeurr's just doing a much more effective job of ensuring that there is clear damage going onto the pickups of these items. Feels that when vengeurr is circling the items, cha1n isn't anywhere to be seen, but as soon as cha1n goes to pick one up, vengeurr's there to steal it away under his feet. That stings.
Absolutely brutal now. As the gap getting wider and wider for cha1n. And again, with time ticking, as we've seen before, he's got to start making more Hail Mary style plays and taking engagements that aren't, 100% foolproof. That makes it, forcing his hand, makes it so much harder. Interesting positioning from vengeurr here as he heard cha1n above him, just waiting for the rail. cha1n trying to get the drop on him. Really well done there, not opting to go for the Mega, dropping on the Italian and getting that frag.
The retaliation from vengeurr, though, was significant, but not enough, as he's now missing everything. cha1n with the push. Brought the deficit to 3 with 3 minutes to go.
This is it, the comeback kid, trying to serve up some Canadian bacon here, 4-7. He's got to keep rolling with this. Almost spots him out, does get a little bit of LG misses with the follow-up rail, but that's okay. He's still going to have the location on vengeurr. Does want a position for this Mega. Get that pesky totem out of the way. We don't need that. 2:30 left, down by 3.
And now we'll just see the complete defense from vengeurr. Ultra positional, ultra defensive. Use those defensive rockets around those corners. Play the rail game on pickups. It'll be a hard task for cha1n, but he has got good control in circulating the items. He needs to make the most of these stacks. But he also can't allow vengeurr to take position on them. He can't afford to lose that control with such limited time left. That's a good rail. It now opens up the opportunity to push. He realized that vengeurr will double back over to this heavy. vengeurr hasn't dropped those, so we'll be escaping. The rail is good. cha1n can push.
Threading that needle, that was a beautiful shot, but he needs to close out this frag. 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes now, still down by 3. vengeurr doing a good job of staying alive. And this is going to be a frag shortly for the Canadian. Good rocket. Wow, the defense from vengeurr just too strong. Great rail from cha1n again. Keeping the damage high, but his stack is running a little low. As he is on time in the rail from vengeurr, cha1n just not expecting that peak at all.
Creative use of angles from cha1n, but once again, vengeurr retaliates in kind, and they do exchange rails, and that just sets cha1n's momentum back. Once again, a crucial mail missed by cha1n, and the clock is not in his favor as vengeurr pushes in. He wants to finish it. He wants to get another deciding frag. Decides against it as cha1n is set up well. He's beginning to restack. vengeurr misreading the position of the Canadian as he does back off, back to that banana room, back to the light. cha1n will get one more heavy, and then he can't afford to waste any time. He doesn't even want to pick it up. And this is it. This is last chance saloon for cha1n as he needs to find vengeurr now. He's established where he is, but can he get him? He knows exactly what he would do. He'll back off. He'll want to play the corners. He'll want to play the telly. And cha1n he needs to trap him, but he's also wasting time, and he's misread where vengeurr's going. vengeurr's still in the teleporter alley.
This is heartbreaking here. cha1n came down to a couple rails. The LG and the banana might do it here. There's one frag, 25 seconds. This is going to be extremely tight. If the Canadian can pull it off, it would be absolutely amazing. He's going to catch him out again in the LG room. Shaft on shaft, hits him with the rail, needs to finish this frag immediately. Around the corner, does 2 HP, but only 12 seconds, and oh my god, the power of Christ just compelled him.
The totem MVP as it was just lying in wait from vengeurr. And he takes the map 8-6. That stings as cha1n tasted the comeback after he ground out such a close map.
It would have been extremely tight, but that totem is heartbreaking. That was just, wow. But cha1n showing some more life than the first map. That's going to be big, especially as we go into the third map, and this is going to be possibly the decider. I think going into it, he's going to feel a little more comfortable, hopefully, but vengeurr's still looking extremely strong. The defense was so good. The rail angles were fantastic.
It felt like cha1n was showing signs of life. It just came too little too late. We said he needed a better start, and unfortunately he got an equally bad start to map 1. And it began to snowball really until right about 6-7 minutes in, where cha1n got a bit better rotation on the items. He caught vengeurr out, and then you can see it already here, 7-2. This was the engagement here. cha1n pushed in aggressively. He got a good lockdown on the items, but unfortunately vengeurr's defensive play was too good. He couldn't track him down. It took too long, and then, as you rightly say, totem heartbreak in the last seconds of the map.
Just he hit some great rails, cha1n did, but unfortunately he missed some of the layups, and those were the heartbreakers.
Yep.
As we look at some of the stats for vengeurr again, up 2 maps now. We will get into the third one shortly. Ruins of Sarnath, vengeurr on Sorlag, cha1n on the Visor. Do you have any thoughts on this particular matchup?
Yeah, cha1n will have to check his aggression once again playing up against the Sorlag. We know how strong the heavy champions are, how powerful Sorlag can be in particular with her speed advantage, and she definitely has that in abundance over the Visor. Obviously the Visor does favour the way in which cha1n wants to play, using the information of the piercing sight, playing strong in position up on that high ground, up on that choke point, and using those rails, but we need to definitely see more clinical execution from cha1n to keep the stack of Sorlag in check, particularly now as we move back over to the EU server as well. I'm sure that vengeurr will want to try and abuse that fact and that advantage. And if cha1n, once again, begins to fall out of control early in this game, it's going to be such a long road to come back into it, as we've seen he struggled to break those defenses of vengeurr.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if we kind of start out with a bang like we did the first 2 maps, whether it be vengeurr's aggression or cha1n's aggression. I wonder how they're going to approach this map. Again, it could be the decider for the series. cha1n hoping that he could send it into at least a 4th, but we will see one step at a time here for the Canadian. The comeback kid, we've seen crazy reverse sweeps before. This one is going to be very difficult, but anything's possible, man. Championship Sunday.
Championship Sunday, and the comeback kid will need to live up to his name if he is going to stick in this one, as this is his last chance in the upper bracket. We do move into Ruins though. I don't expect this map to go as balls to the wall from the first minute or 2. It is, because of the split in the items, it is often a lot of trading in terms of allowing your opponent to pick up one while you trade the other. But if that split begins to widen, and if it is vengeurr, then that maintains that control, cha1n will definitely find himself in trouble. As we do start on cha1n up to spawn, popping that piercing sight just to make sure there are no shenanigans from vengeurr, and there already are shenanigans from vengeurr, as once again he uses that spawn to get in. He does hit the rail up to, and what can you do? cha1n once again even had perfect sight of his opponent, and you can see how powerful that speed is, particularly with the clinical execution of vengeurr coming out, hitting back-to-back shots, following up the lightning gun.
The Meister boy is absolutely feeling himself right now. He wanted to start off with a bang. He wants cha1n to ride the vengeurr bus, and 1-0 early. You could tell, I mean, he has the map advantage up 2 already. I was kind of thinking he might play super aggro just to test cha1n, and that's exactly what he did. Yeah. And cha1n already on the back foot. Again, as we've seen 2 maps previous, this is already looking a little rough for the Canadian here. He's got to slow things down. Already pop vision again. Just trying to stay alive and stack back up and just slow things down.
100%. There's already a huge split on the items, so cha1n needs to work out what those timings are, and that's unfortunate to get caught over by the rocket. This is the choke point that cha1n needs to be playing. He needs to be up in this corridor with the rockets and with the rail. Use the audio cues to try and chip away at the Sorlag, and if he wants to push, make it count through the choke point. But at the minute, you can see vengeurr is catching cha1n time and time again. And this is not looking good for the Canadian, as we're only 1.5 minutes in. There's a 15-second split on the items, and vengeurr already has a sizable stack and sizable lead.
Is he going to drop and chase this? Why not, right? You have the stack, you have the spit.
Oh, man.
Oh, he wants it. Good rail from cha1n there. That may have been something that saved his life. vengeurr's like, I'll spare you for now. Mega's going to be up, but that stack is going to be so huge on that dinosaur.
It's delaying the inevitable as cha1n. He has only got a rail to work with at this point in time. Hasn't got timing on the items. He'll roughly know when they are now. But what can he do? He's had time to go and pick up a rocket. vengeurr will assume he has that, but not a lot else to work with. But cha1n, though, is hitting his rails, and as long as he's doing that, it will stall the momentum. As we see instantly, vengeurr stops the aggression, stops pressing W and backs off. cha1n also will hear this pickup. He's in the right position to try and hit a rail, but vengeurr, knowing where cha1n is, goes down the back channel.
And doing a better job now, slowing things down again. It almost feels like his whole strategy is contingent upon hitting those rails, because the minute he misses, vengeurr is going to be up close and personal with that spit. But again, as long as cha1n's hitting those, it's going to work to his advantage. vengeurr with a retaliation of his own. cha1n fires back again, a volley of rails from both players now. vengeurr with a great dodge on that rocket here as cha1n gets pushed into the tribal room. Needs to be careful which way he tries to escape here. A little bit of preemptive spit to cover some ground. And that tribal will give him away, but vengeurr, again, the stack is just so big. He's going to be on time for this heavy, controlling the map really well.
cha1n needs to get into a position of comfortable enough in terms of his stack to hold strong on one of these items, either delaying it, the pickup, so he can jump on the other, or bullying his opponent out of a choke point. Because at the minute, vengeurr's got both on lockdown. He's not being challenged on pickup, which means that aggression comes out once again. And yes, if cha1n hits 1 or 2 rails back to back, he will stall the aggression from vengeurr. But vengeurr's stack is still big, and then vengeurr will also slow it down and play the rail game, which he's also being very successful at. But cha1n managed to work himself onto this heavy. vengeurr was too aggressive, going back for the light. He also doesn't hit the rail on the exit, meaning cha1n has worked himself into a good position to try and contest this Mega, and the rocket out of the telly as well, reading the movement of vengeurr, followed up by the close-range rail. That was perfect play by cha1n, but we see the refrag potential of the Sorlac coming through as she is big, she is tanky, and she can do it.
Very, very thick girl. A little bit sassy there off the spawn as well, as vengeurr capitalizes again the refrag capabilities for the heavy champions. Very, very big here, as vengeurr looking to add to it. A little bit of rockets trying to make him fly on by. cha1n will escape. vengeurr now on the back foot as he grabs a 50 armor, makes his way back towards above the rail area. Good rail from cha1n down below.
No way! What a read by vengeurr. And that initial frag to get back into the game by vengeurr just shows how difficult this matchup is going up against the Sorlac on this map, because as the lighter champion, even though you're a medium one, the most vulnerable time for you is when you've just killed her, particularly if she's got you low, because as we saw, he literally just presses W off spawn with no weapons to his name, and he's able to take down the visor. So you just need to check yourself, and it's the time when you're most confident and want to be pushing it to take back control, but at the same time you need to reflect on the fact that, hey, I've got a big lizard who's just about to run at me. Maybe this is not the play.
I've always said the scariest dinosaur is one with a machine gun. Here's vengeurr fighting down below. cha1n still down 4 frags as we hit the midway point. vengeurr claims yet another heavy, making Sorbet even thicker here. Spits back up as well, and that's extremely dangerous for cha1n. Up close and personal fights are not an option.
vengeurr slowing it down. Heard the pickup of the Mega as well, so we'll know what the timings are. He's also caught cha1n around the corner with the spit. Good rocket opener as well. Double! And cha1n's in trouble as the lizard is coming. She will be taking down the Canadian to extend his lead to 5. And this is not looking good whatsoever for cha1n's chances in the upper bracket.
Yeah, the play from vengeurr was perfect. Posted up. I knew exactly where cha1n was going to go. Just direct rockets into the doorway here, closing off his exit. 6-1.
I also really like that play by vengeurr, just deciding not to push in onto the heavy, knowing that cha1n was down there, and seeing that he had himself very limited benefit for picking up that heavy, instead favoring the Mega, and this engagement will be going the way of vengeurr. cha1n's doing a lot of damage though. vengeurr actually needs to walk away with his tail tucked firmly between his legs, but he's already set up for the heavy. cha1n needs to just retreat and even get some weapons to fight back with. Oh no!
Oh my goodness, that rail from vengeurr. Luckily for cha1n, did make it onto the Mega, but that was a beautiful shot from vengeurr, and that just kind of shows you, like, he's feeling himself. He's up 5, 2 maps up already. He feels this victory. All the pressure is on cha1n to live up to the name, is patiently waiting for this outside armor as vengeurr. He's like, where is it? Give it to me.
Yeah, I was speaking to vengeurr last night to congratulate him on his victory, and he said, yeah, you know what, I practice all day on 60 hertz and then come up to my event on 240 and I just hit everything, and that shows as he hits the rockets back to back. The follow-up is there just to trade, and that's good because he was coming through the choke point. Although it does mean that cha1n gets a good few seconds to reset, try and pick up some weaponry before his opponent and get onto that heavy. He's early for this mega, but he's caught vengeurr off guard down here with the rockets, but the rockets are decent enough to push back cha1n.
Those are beautiful rockets there. cha1n could smell the frag. It looked like that dinosaur was going to be toasted, and there's the rail. So ends up getting the frag, and this is going to be great. Still down 4. cha1n needs to roll with this. He's going to get caught out of the T-Con. Can he get the frag? He's already very weak, and the rail is going to come in clutch for cha1n.
Yeah. vengeurr tried pushing hard once. He knows that cha1n's got that mega. cha1n will be weak, but at the same time, the score is slowly creeping up for cha1n. Maybe we'll see vengeurr just reconsider those pushes, as he knows the clock is definitely in his favor, so wants to be buying that time. He's waiting down on the heavy, and cha1n doesn't feel comfortable to push, even though he's got the weaponry advantage. The stack's just not there. He needs this mega, he needs it now. The piercing sight comes out to try and prevent from vengeurr going in. That rail does hurt, as vengeurr knows now it's only a matter of time before he kills his opponent. And yeah, lol.
That seems like a frustrated lol to me, as the meatballs on this guy. vengeurr just pushing in right when that rail misses. He knows that he has cha1n dead to rights. He's going to catch him out again in the rail room here. Switch to rockets. As the rail comes out, cha1n could actually turn this around. The rocket jump to get away. Can he find the frag? He does. 3 frags down, 1:40 left. There's still time.
Yeah, I mean, that lol was just a Phil Baz man, right? Because he's got perfect vision. He can see the sword line coming. He can just see his death coming. And there's nothing he can do about it with that rail out. So vengeurr now doesn't even want to contest. He's happy just to wind down this clock, use his speed. And that's something we haven't talked about on the defense, is how is cha1n meant to catch his opponent? He needs to chase down this Lizard who is faster than her. And it's going to be a tough ask with a minute to go. He's got the full stack, but vengeurr doesn't care.
Yeah, vengeurr's just going to fly around the map for the last minute here. Frustrating for cha1n. Didn't want the set to go this way. Wanted to put up a little something. Here's some rockets here. Wow, fantastic rockets from cha1n. 2 frags. This is still doable. He just needs to catch him out. Is he going to find him?
Harder. He knows where he is. The tri-bolt is there, but what? vengeurr is actually low. He hasn't hit anything just yet. If cha1n gets his frag, it's so possible. vengeurr's gone back down. cha1n will be choosing the right direction. No, he won't. He turns back around, but will he catch vengeurr going through the teleporter? He does.
This is so frustrating right now. cha1n might catch him out. There's the spin into the rocket. He gets the frag. 20 seconds, 1 frag needed to send it to sudden death.
Here's her. But look at the stack advantage. He needs to move, but he needs to hit everything as well. He's got 8 seconds. He sees the piercing sights there. He knows exactly where vengeurr is. He's going to go around this corner. He runs into the lightning gun, and it's not going to be enough as cha1n goes down, and vengeurr will progress to the upper bracket finals to meet Rafa, and cha1n drops down to meet somebody. Crazy. There we go.
A certain somebody for sure. As it's just a little bit of life, a little bit too late, unfortunately. vengeurr was ready. Again, as we saw all series long, the defense too strong.
It was, and cha1n seemed to progress throughout the stages and throughout the maps, but it was just too little too late, unfortunately, for the Canadian. He did put up a great fight, and vengeurr just had that little bit of an edge towards the end. Some unfortunate starts to the maps, and nevertheless, it will be vengeurr that progresses. And we will just cut to a break, but when we come back, we will be interviewing vengeurr on that victory, which I'm sure he's very happy about. So stick around, and we'll see you soon.